Hey, look at this. Wave 4 may have shipped before Wave 2, but all the figures are here. Has the Thundercats curse been broken?
It's morphin' time!
Thundercats are on the move. Thundercats are loose.
We made it, guys. Wave 4. And Wave 2's not out yet, but here's Wave 4 of Thundercats. Because, hey, sometimes things just don't work in linear fashions, and I appreciate the fact that we're just getting stuff when it's ready and not so much in the specific order. But Wave 4 is quite interesting because we're sort of kind of finishing up a lot of mainstay characters. This wave contains Lynx-O, which is one of the other additional Thundercats, and Monkian, who's one of the main mutants. So, hey, that's pretty cool. Honestly, this wave, I really don't have anything like crazy history-wise. It sort of came out when it was supposed to, which is sort of crazy history, and it shipped right before Wave 2 shipped. We got 2 waves back to back, which was definitely fun after waiting so long for these figures. So let's dive into it and waste no time at all. So I decided with this video we should look at the packaging like fresh, like I haven't even opened these yet because they're new and I just got them. But they come in these cardboard boxes normally when you get them shipped from Super7 themselves. And then inside, if you pop these open, they are also bagged, which is really nice. It's like that extra like level of protection for your figures, so that's pretty cool. I usually don't keep the bags because I don't have a reason to keep the plastic bag that the toy comes in. I will keep the nice box, but not the plastic bag. Yeah, this is a case fresh Lynx-O here. But yeah, here's Lynx-O. Don't ask me why I made a weird song, but Lynx-O, fantastic character for Thundercats, and actually pretty great representation for an 80s cartoon. And we'll get into more into that in the future of this video, but on the back, unique art for Lynx-O, plus his bio. The oldest of the Thundercats, Lynx-O lost his sight in a fiery explosion preceding Thundera's destruction. He attempted to join the other Thundercats when they left, but was too late. Later, Lynx-O and his companions were saved by a burble ship and joined the other Thundercats on Third Earth. Although blind, he developed his other sensors to an almost preternatural state and can sense things that others cannot. A skilled fighter, he directs his attacks at enemies' pressure points. So let's get into this figure because I'm actually really excited to take a look at Lynx-O. All right, so here is Lynx-O. Now, Lynx-O is one of my favorite Thundercats characters because he's sort of got this unique thing to him, and that is that he's blind. As you can see, his eyes are closed here. Blind characters in an 80s cartoon is just not something you normally see. Heck, blind characters in fiction in general is something you don't see. You typically get blind characters when they're like the magical wizard who can see everything except, you know, they're blind. With Lynx-O, it's not so much that. Like, he is blind because of the escape from Thundera, and that actually gives him more of a unique perspective because he's had time to hone his senses, but he's still, you know, he still is blind, but he's not like magically, you know, powerful. He's actually still really skillful because his mental status and his physical status is also really impressive. And so I really like that about this character, and so I'm always excited when there's a new Lynx-O figure. It also is, he was in the 2011 show as well as a brief cameo. He was actually the watcher of the border of Thundera, and that was really cool, and I wish we would have gotten to see more of him. But yeah, Lynx-O is definitely one of my favorite Thundercats characters for a lot of reasons. And he is this cool, he's like this old wise mentor, but he's really capable in a lot of ways. And I really like that. So let's look at his figure a little bit closer. This is essentially, he's mostly the same, like what is now the standard body mold. And I say that off of Jaga because Jaga has the pinless as opposed to Lion-O and Panthro, who are on the old Mattel bodies. But if you see this here, this is what I thought was interesting, is that Jaga and Lynx-O are a little bit shorter than Lion-O. Lion-O's younger, so he is a bit taller. I think that's kind of interesting that they are slightly scaled different. But that being said, I think Lynx-O just looks fantastic. What's also really cool is that he's got, you know, all the articulation you'd sort of expect at this point. So he's got the head, which, you know, left, right, little up and down, little side to side, not a whole lot. He does have these are rubber on the back, so you don't have to worry about those breaking off. Shoulders move out, 360, a bicep swivel, an elbow that also swivels and moves in and out, a wrist that moves in and out, and a rotation, an ab crunch that moves a little bit, a waist swivel, hips that move out, forward, back, and a bit of a thigh swivel, plus a knee, a knee swivel, and an ankle that moves forward, back, left, right. And much like with Wave 3, Wave 4 does feel really solid quality-wise. Like, I haven't had any weird loose parts. The only thing I notice is that I think this shoulder is like a little further out, and it may just be because of the way the shoulder is cut compared to this one. But you can see if I put the arms roughly like, 90 degrees from the shoulder, this one seems to stick out a bit. And it's just, I don't know if that's a manufacturing thing or if that was intentional, but that is something I noticed, that his shoulder just kind of sits a little bit farther out than the others. But other than that, he's doing pretty great. But he does come with some accessories, so let's take a look at him. Now he does come with what is becoming the standard accessories, which is the open hands, the closed hands with the up and down swivel, and then the closed, or the holding hands with the in and out swivel. So different options for different things. First things first, he has this snarling head, which much like a lot of the others, gives him a little bit more expression for combat. With Lynx-O, I'm not going to typically display him in mid-combat, but he does have that combat potential, and I like that he give him his option here. He doesn't just have to be so stoic. Now what I see Lynx-O posing with is the Braille board. Now this is an important piece in the series. It was something where Lynx-O, he's like, hey, I can do, basically he can do the computer hacker guy stuff that you'd sort of expect in modern media, except this was Lynx-O and he had the Braille board. And the Braille board would let him tap into communication things, set up communication relays, track villains, all kinds of cool stuff. And he needed one built because he had one on Thundera, or he knew of one on Thundera, and then they built it for him. And it's actually transportable in the series, like he has got it in vehicles and in buildings. And it's been replicated here really well, because I love the fact that they sculpted in the Braille dots, so that way it actually has kind of that realistic feel to it. Sometimes in the show these would just be white squares, but sometimes they would go in and draw in the details for the Braille. And I like that Super7 here has sculpted all of that in, because it looks really nice and it gives it sort of a realistic feel. And it's a nice accessory to have for Lynx-O. What's awesome as well is he can actually hold it. With the open hands, it fits around the grip of the board, and you can pose him like this where he's using it, or just pose him with two hands holding it. Personally, I'm going to see how he could actually maybe set this up inside the Thunder Tank when the Thunder Tank does come out, and that might be a cool display piece. Or I might get him a pedestal of some kind, build something for him. Because I think it'd be cool to have it where he could actually type with both hands. But yeah, having the Braille board, excellent accessory, excellent inclusion, and definitely kind of pulls the whole look together. So Lynx-O comes with his light shield. Now this was probably more famous for the LJN figure than the show, but he did use it in the show as well. It's pretty cool to have his shield, because it is kind of his primary weapon. I personally prefer to display him with the Braille board, because I feel like that's more unique, and especially for the character. But as you can see, the light shield works pretty good. It reflects energy blasts. You can attack with it. It clips onto the arm in kind of an interesting way, because it's a really large clip. So if you clip it onto the wrist, it's a little too small and it'll fall off. But you gotta clip it on and then just kind of slide it up a bit, and then it sort of holds there on the forearm. It's a little weird. I kind of don't know how to make it better. Once you get it lined up, I guess about there, it holds on pretty good. But there's Lynx-O's shield. And then continuing our collection of episode-specific accessories, we have the tile from the fountain, which was from the last episode of the series, The Book of Omens. It had an important significance to the fountain itself, as well as protecting the Thundercats in that final episode. And as you can see, it looks really nice. It's sculpted in, it's painted. It's a nice little accessory to add to kind of a Treasures of Thundera look that I kind of want to put together. And then here's Lynx-O with his LJN figure. Again, surprisingly close in size. The Lynx-O LJN figure is one of the rare ones coming in Series 3 of the toy line, and I ended up getting one in a $5 action figure bin. There was a guy just selling a ton of stuff at a convention. But so anyways, you can see the two Lynx-O figures next to each other. They have a lot of similarities because the later Thundercats figures for LJN were much more animation accurate. So, it's a good step up in accuracy, but that original LJN figure, pretty nice. So we got 4 Thundercats now in the line, and I gotta say it's nice to have somebody like Lynx-O and Jaga, because Panthro and Lino will get figures in these other random little lines, even Jaga sometimes, but Lynx-O has not really gotten any figures. In fact, I'm pretty sure outside of maybe some smaller things, this might be the first Lynx-O since the LJN figure, and that's really cool to see him in the lineup, especially because of the shipping schedule. We got him before Tigra and Chitara, which is kind of insane, but I am really glad to see Lynx-O, and I'm looking forward to completing the whole team in the near future. All right, next up is another mutant. We have Monkian. Let's see how he looks. Boom, there he is. He looks great. It's hard to see him in there because his head's very much reaching the top. Back of the packaging, we've got the brand new Monkian artwork, looking fantastic, and then his bio. Monkian is the leader of the Monkians from Plundar. He's a powerful and brutish warrior whose ape-like strength makes him the muscle of the mutants. Monkian is also incredibly agile, especially when climbing, swinging, and leaping through the tree branches of Third Earth. Because of this, he is often tasked with important reconnaissance missions for the mutants. Rarely seen without his signature helmet, Monkian's preferred weapon is his deadly flail. So pretty cool overall. Again, I love the unique packaging art, and I'm excited to take a look at Monkian. All right, so here's Monkian, and honestly, yeah, he does have potential for Best of the Wave, but I don't know if he's going to make Best of the Wave. We'll keep reviewing. But here is Monkian. This is the last of the initial mutants. So when it came to the mutants, the first three we saw on the show were Jackalman, Slithe, and Monkian. So here's Monkian. And I'm glad that we kind of are getting them in order, almost. But anyways, here's Monkian. Just like with the other mutants, he is just sculpted crazy. I mean, not only all the fur textures around the head, down the back, on the arms, as well as on the loincloth, which has like a fur texture as well, and then all the way down to the toes. This guy is just, again, insanely detailed. They just a really good job. And I love the way that they got like some of the more accurate details, like the alternating wristband color, which is just fantastic. So yeah, I mean, looking at him, he is Monkian. There's no doubt about it. And that's what I love about these figures, is that you don't have to question, is that the character it's supposed to be? Because while it is not like cartoon, quote-unquote cartoon accurate, having the more realistic details, they do look like the characters, and I think that's really what's most important. So yeah, I mean, there's not much else to go over. He's got the same articulation that you'd expect from the others. He is scaled a little different, just like with Jackalman. He is a bit taller. Like, here's Lion-O, so you can see that Monkian is a bit taller, and he's differently proportioned. And yeah, he's not even reusing parts from Jackalman, which we'll compare to in a moment. So his default hands are the in and out holding hands. There's up and down holding hands, and then there's also open claw hands. First accessory otherwise is the alternate head, which is this more neutral expression. It looks good. I like the screamy, crazy head. I think the mutants are just that kind of crowd. But you do have this neutral expression if you so wish. Now Monkian, of course, comes with this flail, which you can see is on a real chain, and I always love that. While plastic chains can be nice, the real chain gives it a really good realistic depth and feel to it, plus it can shake around like that, and that's just cool. He also comes with his shield. Now, the interesting thing about the shield is it kind of holds awkward. I had to stretch the hand out. It doesn't quite, like, it's not big enough to really go around all the fingers, so he has to kind of hold it. I don't know how to explain it. He has to kind of hold it like this, where it doesn't go like, you know, you'd have a full wrap around the handle. It's a little small handle-wise. It does look the right size, size-wise. And this is something he had in the show. The LJN toy just came with the flail, so having the shield is pretty awesome, because that kind of completes his look in a lot of ways. But yeah, I really dig this. And to just complete the package, he's got a sci-fi gun. Just like with Jackalman, the look of something that's kind of like a very like barbarian wild character, and then he's got a gun. It's a little scary, but I love it, and he holds it pretty well. I found the up and down pivoting hand is the best to use it to get this position. But yeah, I mean, he's a crazy monkey just ready to blast some stuff, and that's pretty great. Then here we have the Super 7 Ultimates Monkian with the LJN toy. It's amazing to see the evolution here, especially because, as far as I know, same with Lynx-O, there was a mini-mate of Monkian, but that's about it between these two. Oh, there was a Savage World. Funko had this weird line. But, yeah, I guess I didn't have that one. But anyways, the point is here is we got LJN, Super 7 Ultimates, 80s, 2020s. It's a whole big upgrade in so many ways. And here we have the original team of mutants all together, looking amazing. These are three absolutely incredible figures. I love Jackalman. Slide's even better than that. Monkian's even a step above that. I can't wait for Vultureman. But yeah, no, these guys are just great. They've really got the expressiveness down. The variety in weapons is amazing, and I'm just so jazzed with all of these. These are just fantastic. Next up, we have one of the Thundercats allies, the Snowman of Hook Mountain, who received a figure back in the day in the LJN line. But first of all, I just want to point out his box is thicker than the usual one, just by a little bit. You know, not a huge amount like, say, Slithe, but he is a little bit bigger. Let's take a look. Boom! There he is. There is the Snowman of Hook Mountain. Really cool character. He's got a bunch of accessories. They really spaced him out pretty good in there. But it's nice for him to finally get a new figure. This is his first new figure since, I believe, 1986, because I think he was in Series 2. Anyways, here is the artwork for him. Looking great. Snowman at Hook Mountain. Snowman is the guardian for the castle of the snowmen on Hook Mountain. When Lynx-O came in search of Thrundilium fuel, Snowman repelled him atop his great cat, Snow Meow. By the way, Super7er makes a Snow Meow. Oh, that'd be... Anyways, as Lord of all cats, Lynx-O tamed Snow Meow, who accidentally threw his rider into a deep chasm. Lynx-O and Snow Meow worked together to rescue Snowman, earning his trust. Snowman would later join the League of Third Earth, allied with the Thundercats against the mutants, Lunatics, and Mumm-Ra. So yeah, this is actually a recurring character in the show, and definitely one we would want to have as a figure, not necessarily as one of the Thundercats or mutants or Lunatics, as like the main groups, but he is part of the Heroes of Third Earth. So yeah, let's take a look at Snowman here. All right, next up is the Snowman of Hook Mountain, and honestly, yeah, I mean, this guy is cool. So this was a character who debuted as sort of an antagonist. He had to fight Lynx-O, or Lynx-O to fight him. There was, you know, reasons for that, but he became a friend later, and I really like that storyline. Now, this guy was the standard pricing. He wasn't more expensive like some of the other larger figures, but he is bigger. I mean, here he is next to Lynx-O. Like, he is definitely the largest figure, or the tallest figure so far. And yeah, I mean, he just looks really impressive. He is a new mold completely. There's not like any reused sculpting or anything. But looking at him up close, you can see the details in his head. It's just incredible. Again, that fur texture that we talk about. But then it also smooths out for like the clothing, which is pretty great. And down to his legs. And his legs are all furry and fuzzy. Looks warm. It's really, really nice. The other cool thing about him is that his articulation is very similar in a lot of ways, but it's in some ways more, he's a little more posable than some of the other figures. First off, head, left, right, not really an up and down, not really a side to side, it sort of wiggles. Shoulders move out, they move 360, they get a little blocked by this, just because of the overlay, but that's fine. Elbows bend, rotate, the wrists rotate, and they pivot in and out. He's got this waist joint here, and then a ab crunch there that gives him some adjustment. And hips that move out, forward, back, thighs that swivel, knees that bend a little far there, not super far. Swivel there, ankles that move forward, back, left, right, and a side to side. So you got all kinds of things there. Now, the thing to note with this guy is you notice his legs are kind of floppy. This is a thing that's happened with some larger Super 7 figures. But unlike Bebop or Rocksteady from the Ninja Turtles line, or even Muckman, where some of them have this like slight flop to their hips on these bigger ones, I don't know why that is. Everything happening in the world aside, you know, can't be at the factory all the time to check these things like normal. He does have this flop to him, but he is solid and doesn't seem to go anywhere. I've been testing him. He has not fallen over on me yet. So while he does have the loose hips that have plagued some of the Ninja Turtles larger figures, he has so far, and I've had him open for several days now to test him out, so far, this has not caused him to fall over because of the rest of his weight distribution. I think because his torso is not super big and heavy and overleaning his legs like Bebop or Rocksteady has. So at least on that front, while it is kind of a quality control thing, it's the loosest joints on Wave 3 or Wave 4 combined, but it's okay. It's workable. It's not crippling the figure, which is good. But let's look at some of his accessories. Hands-wise, he has these open hands, he has these fists, and he has these holding hands. I've clipped this one to the shield, and it was really, really hard to do. The fingers are really tight, and you might want to heat these up, and I did so. And I got it around the shield, and I don't plan to have this hand do anything but shield. Now, unlike the other figures, he doesn't have an alternate head. Most of them have come with alternate heads, but he just comes with the one. What he does come with is his helmet. And this was interesting, because I think at the time the figure was revealed, we weren't sure if it was going to be an alternate head, because there was pictures without the helmet, pictures with, but it is just a straight, you put the helmet on. Now, there is nothing pegging it in, so if you turn him over, or not, I guess. Holy cow. Earlier, this helmet, there we go. It does fall off eventually, but I guess if you just line it up perfectly, it will stay on, but most times it will fall off. So keep that in mind. The helmet here, it looks nice. It's well painted. It's really thick. It goes over. It doesn't look too big. That's the problem with helmets that go over heads. Sometimes they look too big, but this one looks fine. It's supposed to be kind of large. It gives him this knight look. So for his weapons, he's got the shield. Like I said, it clips into the hand. Unlike Monkian's, it actually fits around his fingers, which is good. And you got this ice shield. Now this is properly sized to how it is in the show itself. But as you can see, it looks a little small, but it actually is the proper size. because he kind of has this jousting vibe going on. So here we have his jousting lance sort of ice weapon. I like this one a lot. It's really big and impressive, and it does fit the whole knight and jousting theme. In fact, I think he even tried to do a jousting maneuver on Lynx-O while riding his giant white cat, Snowman. So pretty cool. I like this a lot. It just looks nice. The funny part about the plastic is it kind of reminds me of like those old push pop popsicles. I say old as like they're still not a thing. I don't know. I haven't been a child for a while. But as a kid, there was these push pops. So you'd push the ice cream out or the frozen stuff. Anyways, it reminds me of that kind of plastic because it's not transparent, but it's kind of frosted over. And it looks icy and fun. And then he also has the ice spear, which is pretty cool. Again, I'm using ice puns. I just like saying the word cool. I'm not making ice puns per se, but anyways, he's got this spear. It's pretty nice. This did come with the LJN toy. I think the LJN toy had the helmet, the spear, and the shield, if I'm not mistaken. I never owned it, but this one is also used in the show. What's interesting is he did have like a mace that he used in his debut episode when fighting Lynx-O, and that's not included. And I know that was possibly to keep his price in the normal range because he is a larger figure, so less accessories. Or maybe it's something to include with a future Snowmeow. Just saying. I don't know if there's going to be a Snowmeow, but if they did make a giant white mountain lion thing for him to ride, I would totally buy it. But I think that goes without saying because I've been buying everything. So whether you want to recreate their first encounter when they were accidentally enemies, or later adventures when they were friends, Snowman of Hook Mountain is a nice addition to the Thundercats lineup, and I'm pretty happy he's in the line, because I honestly think this is a really solid figure, and that's pretty impressive considering his size. Now this last figure was quite exciting because when they teased Wave 4, they said there was going to be a character who'd never received an action figure before, which I was very excited about, and it's Pumm-Ra. Now Pumm-Ra is actually he's a lost Thundercat. But this is actually a character that only appeared in the cartoon for one episode. What's great about this is it gives us some extra accessories for other characters, and it's just a really cool, obscure piece. And of course, he gets unique packaging art. Now, there is a bio here that's a spoiler to an early episode, which also is pretty much not spoiling anything because it's pretty obvious in the episode, but let's read the bio anyways. To deceive the Thundercats and gain access to the Cat Slayer, Mumm-Ra assumes the form of Pumm-Ra. As Pumm-Ra, he claimed he'd be another survivor from the doomed home of Thundera and the attack by the mutant space fleet that killed most of their fellow refugees. Welcomed by his enemies, Pumm-Ra obtained the powerful Eye of Thundera and Sword of Omens, but quickly discovered that the Spirit of Jaga mystically protected them from being used for evil ends. Let's take a look at Pumm-Ra. Alright, so here is Pumm-Ra, not to be confused with Pumm-Ra, that's one of the Thundercats that came in later in the series. Pumm-Ra was also a puma, but essentially was not a real Thunderian Thundercat, being a disguise of Mumm-Ra. So this is kind of neat because he only appeared in episode 5, Pumm-Ra, which was a singular episode where, you know, Mumm-Ra's like, hey, what if I pretend to be a Thundercat? Will they just take me in and not ask any questions? And the answer was yes, but it all failed because eventually he revealed his evil tactics and a bunch of other things. And you know what? Snarf was right. Snarf was right. So anyways, this character, it's from an episode, but I don't know if necessarily everybody wants to pick this up. I could imagine that there'd be some people that are collecting the line but may not want Pumm-Ra. He's kind of a weird one-off character because he's not technically his own character, he's technically Mumm-Ra. But looking at this guy, he's pretty awesome. I mean, the audacity to make a Pumm-Ra figure in Wave 4. I think Wave 4 was a good time to do this, you know? It was a good time. But anyways, he's got the default screaming head here with the eye patch, which looks pretty amazing, honestly. Just incredible detail. He is only cloth goods, so I guess, you know, it'd be if he did him in plastic, he would have so much restricted articulation. So they just did it in cloth, probably because they realized that, well, he didn't have an LJN figure, so there's nothing to like match toy-wise. We can just go show look, and that's what we got here. So this is stitched fabric up top with a wire, so it can be bent around his body as needed. And then this part down here is stitched just so it lays flat. And you know what? Works for me. It really does, because with this articulation, head moves, shoulders move, it doesn't restrict it too much. This arm's a little weird. Oh yeah, they did sculpt the armband, which you can see in some shots of the episode. I didn't totally just watch the episode to make sure I was totally fresh on this one-off character. But anyways, you got that going on. You've got shoulders. This is all linked together. The waist moves, the hips, or the ab crunch, the hips move, forward back, knees, swivel, all that stuff you'd expect. He's not restricted because the cloth is not restricting him, which is pretty nice. Now you're probably wondering, what does he look like without the cloth? And well, we can do that. This part's all wired. We'll take that off. This is a little belt piece that is just strapped like that. So we'll just pull that off. It's a little stretchy material. And then Velcro stop there, and boom. He's got shorts underneath, luckily. But there is Beach Pumm-Ra if you want. And yeah, so if you wanted, I guess if you wanted like a base Thundercat body for customs, this wouldn't be a bad choice. I mean, yeah, base body for customs on a $45 figure, but if you were looking for something that just gives you a base male body without any crazy sculpting, there you go. He got feets, he got shorts, he's got one armband. There you go. There's your base Thundercat body in a lot of ways right there. You just probably change the head and whatever else customizers do. But there you go. I mean, you have that option. But I'm going to get his clothes back on, and we'll look at his accessories. All right, so here we have his hand selection: open hands, left and or in and out hands, up and down hands, the usuals. So he's got a neutral expression head, which, you know, it gives him that kind of early episode vibe of, oh, I'm just an old man who barely survived thunder, oh, save me. Speaking of heads, in a plastic bag in the bottom of the tray, because I guess they didn't pack it out correctly at the factory, this is a different head for the, not for Pumm-Ra. It is basically like a slightly larger version of the Pumm-Ra head. This is meant to go on the ever-living Mumm-Ra, which was supposed to have been out before this figure, but came out after, and we'll look at this in the next Thundercats review. He comes with the communicator in which he radioed Slide and the mutants with, and it's got kind of this cool Egyptian scarab design. I don't think Mumm-Ra ever used this again, but honestly, it's kind of a cool thing. It's got the little like scarab beetle sort of look to it, and I like it. Now, of course, he does come with a wrapped up version of the Sword of Omens in its closed form, because that was the whole reason why Mumm-Ra turned into Pumm-Ra, to get into the cat's lair, was to seal the sword. And it's got that cloth he wrapped around it, sculpted into it, which is pretty cool. And to go alongside that, he has this closed fist version of the claw shield. What's interesting is, unlike Lynx-O's, which pegged into the hand, this slides over a hand, specifically the up and down pivot wrist hand, which is different than Lynx-O's peg, but it is a closed fist version of the claw shield, so let's see if it actually works with Lynx-O. And hey, look at that, it actually does. Now with Lynx-O, I just put it over the wrist without plugging a hand in, but it does hold on there. It squeezes into his arm. So while it's not as solid as the peg, it definitely does fit. Now Pumm-Ra may not be a figure that everybody would want. Personally, I think he's cool, but that's also because I'm a Thundercats hardcore fan. But he does have some merit for customizers, and also if you do want that claw shield. So overall, Thundercats Wave 4, I think all four of these figures are great. There's some weird QC in some places, like Snowman's hips or Lynx-O's shoulder. When you look at it, they're not really crippling any of the figures. So I hope that, things continue to tighten up, both figuratively and literally, but this is definitely a step in the right direction. This wave doesn't feel cursed like the other waves have been. It actually shipped around the same time that they originally intended, maybe a little late, but understandable because of global events. And yeah, we'll see if Wave 5 keeps this going and we don't have any more weird hiccups with this line. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button, hit subscribe and the notification bell to keep up with future uploads. The next review should be, or the next Thundercats review should be Wave 2, finally catching us up. It should be really nice to have that, and then we'll be looking forward to Wave 5, 5.5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way until we get every single character in the show, because oh my god, we're so close to still having a ton of figures to do, but I will be buying all of it. And yes, I did buy the Thunder Tank, if anyone's wondering, and I think that might hit before Wave 5 does. I'm excited. But anyways, if you enjoyed this, be sure to subscribe and notification bell. Also be sure to leave a comment, tell me what your favorite figure of the wave was. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Check out Hero Club at hero-club.com for news and more, and my awesome graphic designer on Twitter at darkclaw643. And until next time, this is Soundout saying, Thundercats, ho!